Namaste. And next we're going to have an interview with Swami Nikhilanandji from Barsana Dham. And we are here in the studio. We have Amanji and Rituji from Barsana Dham for here to help us conduct the interview. And we have Swamiji also with us over the phone.
Luckily, we are born and brought up in India, went to Indian school, so we do understand a little bit of Hinduism, if I could say that. Been exposed to the true part of the history, but it's a challenge for the kids who are born and raised here.
Yes, definitely, Aman. We are really lucky that we were in India, we were born there, brought up there, and we had most of this knowledge circling around us most of the time, and we had a very easy access to it. But then my concern here is, and especially amidst all these events that are happening, what about those kids who are born and raised, or at least are being raised completely in the Western world?
Exactly. And when these kids come up with questions about the faith, the religion, the chores we do in our religion, the gods, the different gods we have, the diversity which exists in Hinduism, sometimes they are unable to relate with it, and somehow they are not able to come to terms to it. Most parents would agree with me firsthand how difficult or easy it is to handle such questions. What to answer them? How to tell them the true knowledge of Hinduism? That's always a challenge.
Well, I've heard a lot of kids asking questions like, okay, mom, so tell me, what is the proof that God exists? Or, why do these innocent people have to suffer? Or why is Hinduism the only religion that describes God's forms, and why there are so many forms of gods? So as you can see, Aman, that all these questions are actually, coming from the very heart of our religion. And oftentimes, even like parents, they find it very difficult to answer these kind of questions. But the good news here is that we do have a solution that exists to this problem. We have a very interesting course which is doing great rounds and in the East Coast, especially in Fairfax Station, Virginia, New York, and Maryland. This course has been designed specially to address this kind of a issue or a concern which exists, especially in the Western world. And this course is geared specifically for the children and their parent, focusing just on the basics of Hinduism.
Yes, Ritu, and I heard about this course doing excellent rounds on Maryland, New York, New Jersey, and most of the Eastern Coast. This course is actually designed by a profound speaker on Hinduism, who incidentally did not have the privilege to be born as a Hindu. He was attracted towards Hinduism. He left his studied in the different ashrams in India, was trained and self-studied all the prime Sanskrit scriptures, the Upanishads, the Darshan Shastras, the Gitas, the Bhagavatams, the meditations and the various forms of meditations, the devotional music, and then finally took the sannyas in the Raganuga tradition of Bhakti of Vrindavan. This is a course which is designed by a very profound speaker on Hinduism, and his lectures and meditation programs are a revelation of the deepest aspects of Bharati philosophy, the Hindutva philosophy described in our prime Sanskrit scriptures. His simple, logical, and scientific explanations of the divine Hindu philosophy helps one to remove one's philosophical confusions. His practical teachings and his spiritual principles can benefit anybody who applies them in his daily life. This is a course designed specifically for the kids, for the children, and also for their parents. His name is Swami Nikhilanand, and he resides in a 200-acre beautiful property in Barsana Dham, Austin, Texas. And we have the privilege of having Swamiji today on air with us. Radhe Radhe Swamiji, are you with us on air today?
Radhe Radhe Aman, Radhe Radhe Ritu, Ariji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Swamiji. We're happy to have you on air with us today, Swamiji.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to talk to you all.
What a pleasure it is, Swamiji, to have you with us on the air. And Swamiji, we heard a lot about this profound course, which I know did great rounds in most of the East Coast areas, the Maryland, the New Jersey, the New York, the Virginia, the Fairfax station. And there was a lot of media and publicity in the mainstream media as well about this course. Since we have you on air, why don't you tell us more about this course? What was this course all about? Was it for kids or adults, or what were the contents of this course?
Well, Aman, it started just with an idea to try to meet the practical needs of families here in America who, as you were saying, especially the kids growing up here who are surrounded by a different culture, they have so many questions, and a lot of those questions the parents never asked their parents because in the environment they grew up in, they didn't have a need to ask. They were surrounded by Hinduism all the time, and they just didn't question anything.
Wow.
And nowadays, the kids growing up, they have so many questions, and a lot of times parents feel ill-equipped to answer the questions, and they don't know where to turn to find the answers, and then the kids feel disillusioned. They don't know, why should we believe if we don't have the right answers? So it just started with an idea, let's give some practical knowledge to both the parents and the kids in one format where they can get their questions answered, their most basic questions about Hinduism, so they can really have a firm foundation of understanding and not just have to have a blind faith, but actually have an intellectual understanding of what is Hinduism and what is the value of Hinduism.
Very true, Swamiji. Isn't it surprising and ironical that we have kids home and they're asking us questions, and most parents, including myself, really have no clue how to handle it. I have Ritu with me also here, Swamiji, and she's got a question for you.
Sure.
Swamiji, any age kid could be just called as kid, and we've been talking about kids. But truly, tell us what age kids would stand to benefit the most from this program.
The way it's designed, although this knowledge can be explained to any age person, it just has to be worded in the right way. The way this program is structured, I would say that anyone from age 7 and up would be able to grasp the knowledge that's being given as it's being given. Of course, you can't, when you're speaking to a group, you can't address all the different levels simultaneously. So I would say from age 7 and up could really 100% grasp what's being given.
Awesome. Swamiji, what are the core course contents like? I'm curious to know what actually goes in the course. You gave us a brief overview about the problem, the concern, and the specific design of the course. But what kind of contents you have in the course, if I may ask?
Over the years, I've developed quite a few modules. As you said, the course has been given in temples in Virginia, like Durga Mandir, also in many mandirs in New York, Rajdhani Mandir in Virginia, Shiva Vishnu Temple in Maryland, also by colleagues of mine in Houston and Austin. And we've developed many different modules covering all the main basic topics of Hinduism. So it really depends on the length of time available. I would say I probably have developed 20 different modules on the main topics like origin of Hinduism, origin of Hindu scriptures, forms of God, who is God, what is the nature of the soul, what is meditation, many different topics like this.
Awesome.
And normally it's delivered either in a 7-day format or a 2-day format. And of course there's always follow-up. So if we do a 2-day format, then we'll follow up with another 2-day format, later in the year, and we just keep progressing and going through all the main topics. And if I were to do a 2-day format, the first 2 topics I would take that I consider most important, number 1, origin of Hindu scriptures, so that kids understand, because the scriptures like Gita, Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, these scriptures form the foundation of Hinduism. That's, what we call Hinduism comes from these scriptures. So first of all, kids need to understand, why should we believe what's in these scriptures?
Great.
What gives these scriptures authenticity? What is their origin? What is their age? Who produced them? And why is it still relevant in our life today? Even if we're not living in India, why is all of this still relevant today? All of that I would explain in day one, what I would call origin of Hindu scriptures.
That's right.
And day two would be the next most important topic, a point Ritu already brought up, that why is Hinduism the only religion in the entire world that describes any form of God?
Wow.
And not only that, but multiple forms. Even though Hinduism, of course, is monotheistic, believing in one supreme God, yet why are there many, many different forms of that one God described? There's actually a science behind it. Even something a 7-year-old can understand. Why does God have different forms? And so kids really need to understand the philosophy behind it so they can value this thing about Hinduism, that why is it the only religion in the world that describes the form of God?
Great. And that's so interesting, Swamiji, but this seems like a lot of information. We're talking about the main scripture knowledge, or the knowledge emanating from the scriptures, the Ramayana, the Bhagavatam. And also we are discussing this for the kids. What is the classroom format? I mean, is this some sort of a stream download, or tell me a little bit about it?
That's interesting you ask, Aman. And actually, my background before I even learned about Hinduism, I used to work with kids, and I was a teacher. So I have that background in how to put information or how to present it in a way that engages the kids' minds, so that they're not just sitting and listening, but they're actively involved in trying to understand some information that's being given. So it's not a lecture format where I sit there and talk to them. It's actually something where I present an idea. Okay, do you have this question about Hinduism? And they'll say yes. So then we'll answer that question, and they're really excited to get the answers to these questions about Hinduism that they've been wondering about, either consciously or they may have never formulated the questions in their mind, but they're all excited to get the knowledge. And it's done in an interactive way where they can ask questions as they pop into their mind, and they have worksheets that they can take notes on, and the handouts, so they follow along, and they easily grasp the information. And not only that, but the way it's done, both the kids and the adults are getting the same information, but at their own level, because the way the course is designed, I start, let's say it's a 2-hour program. So I will start with everyone together and give an introduction of the topic, meaning both parents and kids, and then we'll split the groups, and the adults will go in the second room, and they'll watch an instructional video on a related topic. And meanwhile, I'm giving the main body of the teachings to the kids in a style that is very engaging to them. And once that's finished, the kids will go in the second room, and the adults will come with me, and I'll give the same information, but of course in a way that's appropriate to deliver to the adults. And meanwhile, the kids, during a 2-day format, the kids will play Jeopardy during this time that I'm with the adults, and the Jeopardy questions are designed by me, all based on what the kids just learned in the classroom portion. So they're reviewing all the knowledge that they just learned in a game format, and going over all the points again. And then we finish, we get back together for the last 15, 20 minutes, everybody together, and I give the conclusion and final question and answer, and we usually end with a little bit of meditation and arti.
Awesome. Swamiji, that was a lot of information, and I'm glad I got to ask you that question. And I think this was very, very important. And I know you had these courses on the East Coast and very, very popular, thunderous response from the community, and a lot of kids who perhaps might have come up to you and must have shared their feel with you. How did they feel after the course? So my question is, in your past and previous experience, what was the feel the kids took back home?
I would say in general, every kid gets the feeling that they're understanding things about Hinduism that they never understood before.
Wow.
And that gives them a feeling of real happiness and excitement, and also empowerment that now, I've had kids, because we dismantle a lot of the misinformation about Hinduism also.
True.
If you go, say, a sixth grader is studying the religions of the world in his class, and what he's going to read in his textbook has many things about Hinduism which are completely wrong. And I have kids come back to me and say, it's just like you said, when I was in school, this is what they were teaching me, and I knew it was wrong, and I knew what the right thing was.
Right.
So I didn't feel embarrassed, because some of that information is embarrassing. Some of it is confusing. They don't know what's right. This is different than what I'm learning at home. So it gives them a confidence in being Hindu.
Oh, so right.
Yeah. And another interesting point, I've had many kids say to me that, I felt inspired to learn more about Hinduism because you weren't born Hindu. They call me Bhaiya. They don't call me Swamiji. It's too formal for me. There's Nikhilanand Bhaiya. When I saw you with so much knowledge of Hinduism, and you were teaching us and you were teaching our parents, I felt like, why can't I learn about Hinduism also?
Wow.
How amazing it is.
So, Swamiji, what I understand is the way you described, and the picture that I was visualizing is there's parents, there's kids, there's entire family, that has activities to do during the duration of this course. And probably when they go home, they probably have the same discussion on the dinner table or back while driving back home in the car, or, discussing, they're going to come back to the session next day. And I've personally met many families who've been through this course, and I've seen that kids have been pretty excited after attending this course. And listeners,
they're the ones who are bringing their parents to the class.
Sure, and yes, and the most important change that I saw in the kids is the parents have no more to drag them to like any religion class or any other Hinduism practice that they are doing, but it's the kids that start to be proactive about it.
That's right. And in fact, the kids often feel like they want to start up a daily practice.
Sure.
Awesome.
Do some kind of prayer every day, some kind of practical connection that they maintain with.
Right, and they understand what they are doing, and that's the most important point. They are not just being dragged into it, but they exactly know what they are doing.
That's right.
So this is great, Swamiji. Now tell me who among the two of us, that is I, Aman, and Ritu, has the privilege of, or going to get the privilege of hosting you and as well as the course. Is it going to be Ritu, or it's I myself?
Oh, I thought it was both of you.
Yes, listeners, that's correct. We are going to have the privilege of hosting this course, give parents and their kids a feel of what it is like to learn Hinduism from someone who is a profound speaker on Hinduism. Really like you all to mark your calendars for this activity, fun learning, and a very informative session.
Awesome, Rituji, and thank you, Amanji. Thank you, Swamiji, for being with us here at the radio station and talking to our listeners on Radio Salam Namaste. And I hear Pehle Niwala Fir Gopala. I hear you guys are also serving full meals, etc.
Oh yes, Hari, absolutely. We always take care to feed our children and parents and make sure that they are all well fed, and then they go into these sessions and make the most out of them.
Thank you very much, Hari, and my heartfelt thanks to Sanatan Dham Foundation for providing us this opportunity to share this extensive course. And thanks for introducing Swamiji to the radio station and the listeners.
Thank you. Listeners, we'll be right back after a short break.